Welcome to the Nicholas Brown Podcast, a podcast talk show about real estate investing, business leadership, and personal development. Each week, we explore current real-life case studies about how to build financial independence through investing in real estate to build your personal portfolio through passive income models, along with interviews from the top business leaders and personal development leaders. Now, here's your host, Nicholas Brown.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm so excited, as I always say, though, but this here type topic is going to be about pivoting. So what I'm going to do, if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you guys subscribe to this topic also, especially if you're retiring or you're up in age, or if you have parents or whoever are up in age. This is a good topic to focus on, and that's why I say subscribe. If you're listening in, make sure you download this also, ladies and gentlemen. This is a great topic to download and play it as many times you need, and pass this on and share this. I'm going to give you a link to this person also, so it's good information to share. So the person I'm speaking to today, which I apologize, heads up, my thing updated on me. So Yvonne Marchese, correct?
Marchese.
Marchese. See, I apologize,
it's spelled
hey,
weird.
hey, I have it written down, ladies and gentlemen, also. But we're gonna get to the topic because I expect for it to be more and more times she come here. She's gonna get on me about that, but she is the host of the Late Bloomer Living podcast, a professional photographer, mom, wife, and serial pivoter. And she grew up in El Paso, Texas. In her 20s, she sold everything she owned to follow a lifelong dream, moving to New York City, where she worked as an actress for 10 years. She now lives in Norwalk, Connecticut, telling people stories with her camera and a microphone. Yvonne is the opinion that stories can change lives, maybe not in an instant, but in laying the seeds of possibility. She's someone who works every day to embrace big, scary, beautiful change and believes in it's never too late to pursue a dream. I'm going to repeat that. It's never too late to pursue a dream. It's that belief that led her to start a photography business in her 40s and a podcast in her 50s. She's on a mission to redefine society's ideas on aging and exploring how to live a life by design. Make sure you join Yvonne's newsletter on her website, which is www.latebloomerliving.com. Welcome to the show, Yvonne.
Thank you for that very nice intro. Thank you.
I'm excited to have you. One before you go, I want to plug this, ladies and gentlemen, business. If you listen to this, or if you're watching this, Clubhouse is so powerful, ladies and gentlemen. This is good networking. This is another example. If you network, if you just get out there and do it, this is a good person right here. I mean, but this is a person that we can bond with also. We're building a bridge. So I just want to plug that. Make sure you guys get in on Clubhouse. This is an example.
Yeah, Clubhouse has been amazing. That's how we met, right?
That's right.
That's it. That's the power of it. It's amazing.
And we spent some time because I think it was like, for example, because of our age, it's kind of old school, kind of like when we used to have the teleconference with the phones, you call it 1-800 number, but this is an up-to-date version, so you just go to your app and listen in, it's people talking live, they're on stage speaking, they're in the rooms, and here we are,
Yeah, it's really powerful stuff, and you got, man, there's so many rooms like you can explore. It's awesome. We could go on about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I want to, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to push her. We're going to have more topics, which me and her can relate. And if you're listening into this, it's about, I deal with personal development and business leadership. But this is where we fall into place is retirement and pivoting. So we had a long conversation about that, the stages that you go to, where if you listen to her podcast, she have more in-depth information about that also, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, what
So
I
if you
do
can,
is
just tell them about yourself.
Yeah. So what I do on the podcast is I talk to people who have at some point in their life, midlife-ish, have hit a wall or were feeling stuck or something happened to them. Some people have gotten sick, different things, and then what they've done is taken that moment of being stuck or being uncomfortable or sick, and then found a way to work through it, found a way to change things up and move through it and reinvent themselves. And so that's what I talk to people about. It is my jam. I love it.
Okay.
And so the idea is that I'm hoping that if somebody else hears the story of somebody who was able to push through that feeling in midlife, where, we get into midlife and we get to this point where we're good at some things,
Right.
like, right? You know what you're
Right.
good at, right? Or
Right.
you've had the training in it and you do that and you can kind of do it in your sleep maybe, but you get to a point where maybe you're not happy with what you're doing anymore, or maybe you just feel like there could be something more, and maybe you're not even
Is,
sure what it is,
do you think it's
right?
because of our stage of life, or is it something being forced when you say because of that time? It could be different questions, but what was with you that made you pivot? You said your
For
pivot moment
me,
because you changed careers, correct?
I did. I've done it a couple of times.
Okay.
So in my 40s was the first big pivot. Well, okay, let me kind of go back. And
Right.
I was an actress up
Mm,
until my mid 30s when I had my first kiddo, when I had my first baby. And then I was actually kind of almost done with theater at that point. I wasn't sure what else I would do. It was everything I ever wanted to be, was just to do theater and to be an actress.
okay.
And once I had kids, I lost that passion. And then I didn't know what I was doing,
Okay.
but I was doing odd jobs. I was working, I was making a living, and I had recently gone back to work. This was when I was close to 40. I'd gone back to work and because I needed to go back full time. And I had been working 3 months and then I got a promotion. And a month later, it was 2008 and the
Okay.
economy just tanked and I got laid off. And I
So
came
you was
home.
working two type of positions. You was an actor and you was working another job.
I
Or
had given up acting and
oh,
I
okay,
had about
okay,
5 years there where I was like
gotcha,
just
gotcha.
working
Okay,
as a virtual assistant from home. I wasn't, it was
gotcha.
just cobbling together work. And this time I was like, okay, I found a job. It was,
Right.
it was a random job, but I was like, okay, I could do this. And then I got laid off and I just was lost. I really didn't
Mm,
know what I wanted to do. I I have a degree in theater. I
you're
have an
right.
English minor, and I had
Right.
a lot of customer service experience and admin experience and different things like that, but I wasn't happy doing any of that.
Okay.
And so my husband, bless him, was like, sleep on it. It's going to be okay. Don't worry. And I went to bed that night, got up in the morning, and I looked at him and I said, photography.
Okay.
I want to be a photographer, and bless his heart, man, he let me take our charge card and I bought a big fancy camera
Wow.
and I invested in a study from home program for professional photography
Okay.
and carried that camera with me everywhere, and I became completely obsessed with it. And
Which, by
so
the
I
way, ladies and gentlemen, go to Instagram. She has a different link for that. Great, great photos. Give them
I
a plug
do.
right quick. Matter of fact,
That's
since
Yvonne
our
Marchese
listeners.
Photography. Yvonne Marchese Photography is
Okay.
the name of
Great.
my business for that. I eventually, so the story is I started as a side gig. I finally found a job doing customer service again after a while, worked photography on the side until I got to the point where I could do it full time. And that's what I
Okay.
do now. That I'm a photographer. I
Wow.
do family photography and headshots and personal branding for entrepreneurs and small businesses and things like that. And I love it. It's a ton of fun. It's great.
Okay.
But then as I reached the end of my 40s, I don't know what was happening. I kind of maybe a little low grade depression. I don't, they say that there's a natural dip in midlife of
Okay.
happiness. There's
That's what
been
we're, that's
studies
that's the
done on
question
that.
I want. Why you think it was a depression? It's because
I had a lot of physical issues. I was still, I had just gone full time with the photography, but all through my 40s, I had been working like a job that wasn't a perfect fit. And the photography was the side gig, which I loved, but I still wasn't doing it full time. It still wasn't there. And then
Okay.
when I finally was, I found myself in this dip of energy, and I was having, I'm not a business person necessarily.
Okay.
All of a sudden I'm a business person. I'm in business. I'm trying to figure out how to do the marketing, how to do sales, how to do all
Okay.
the stuff that I need to do to be in business for myself.
Right.
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 And I
That
found
was a
it
pivot moment also, right? That was a pivot. Right.
absolutely.
Right.
And I
But
felt
what, don't you feel like
overwhelmed.
that was your it's not like work anymore. It's kind of a passion.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Doing the work. It was like acting when I was able to be in a show and rehearsing and acting, it was awesome. But auditioning, you know,
Right. Right. Right.
so,
Right.
so anyway, I don't know. I was also a little heavier than I'd ever been. I think it was just like a kind of a time of life thing, may have been
Right.
hormonal. Who
Right.
knows?
Right.
Women, they start to
Right.
get to that menopausal thing. And so I decided finally to change up my diet a little bit. And then I was doing a lot of reading on self-help. And I
Okay.
found Mel Robbins' book, The 5-Second Rule. And that was like a trigger for me.
Okay.
I read that book, and everything made sense. And I was like, yeah, I'm hitting the snooze button every morning, and I get up and then I'm out of sorts and scrambling to get the kids off to school, and I was a hot mess.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, so I developed a morning routine.
Okay.
Alarm went off, I set it across the room. I changed habits is what happened. So I committed to 30 days of changing the way I was eating and getting up in the morning and exercising and meditating and taking care of myself before the kids got up, so that I had time to focus on what I wanted and setting my intentions for the day.
Okay.
And I suddenly started to feel great. I had energy.
Did you have to
Lost.
push yourself? Did you
Yeah.
have to push yourself to do that?
Yes,
Okay.
indeed I did.
Okay. I have to
And
ask because that's one of the different things that we kind of figure
right.
out,
It
you
wasn't
know.
easy. It wasn't
It,
easy, but setting the alarm across the room, let me just tell you, game changer, because you can't
you
just reach
force
over.
yourself.
Oh yeah.
You gotta
It's
go
like
reach out.
you
Go,
just reach out. You can't just
yeah,
reach
yeah,
out. It's like
right,
you got to
right.
put your feet on the floor
Yeah,
and walk
yeah,
across
yeah,
the room. And
yeah,
then all of
yeah.
a sudden you're like, well, I'm up.
Yeah, that's your initial energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so anyway, I just started feeling better. And then I started thinking about the next 30 years of my life. I'm like, okay, I'm almost 50.
Hmm.
I don't ever really want to retire if I'm doing something I love. I
Right,
love learning.
right,
I'm curious,
right.
and I started wondering what might be next for me. And I'm like, I love photography, but I don't know if I see myself doing it in my 70s and 80s. It's pretty
Really?
physical work. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was like, what might I do? I don't know. And I started realizing through my reading and through the research I was doing that there were a lot of other people in midlife feeling the same way, feeling like there
Okay.
might be something more.
Okay.
And I started to get excited about telling the stories of people who had managed to make it through that feeling of being stuck as an
Okay.
inspiration for other people. And that's where the podcast idea came from. But then,
That's a thought. Hold that thought too.
yes,
That's where, because I don't want to waste other time. That's what my book is focused on. That's what I focus on generally during the day, to motivate, teach, and get a perspective. So that's so what's one thing is what motivates you to pivot, to make that pivot. What motivates you to make that pivot to, like, for example, I want to get in photography. I know that's your passion, but is that the
mhm,
answer? What motivated you? What was your motivation?
discomfort motivates you. I think being uncomfortable in just having it was like a little, the little piece of sand that's inside the oyster that turns into a pearl.
Right, right.
There's it's like a little scratchy itchy kind of thing, right? and
Right.
and if it keeps at you for long enough,
It's annoying.
you then feel the need to take action.
Wow.
and
Wow.
and if you
Okay.
can put yourself
Mm,
there's all so there it happens to you sometimes. Some of the people that I've interviewed on my podcast
mm,
have had cancer,
from
or some other physical thing that has happened to them that stopped them in their tracks, where their body was telling them, stop no more. This doesn't work for you anymore.
Yeah.
And those people have told me that when they finished their treatment and they survived the process, that when it was then time, they were declared healthy and ready to go back to life as they knew it.
Right.
Life as they knew it didn't exist anymore because they had essentially changed.
Right. The pivot, right?
The pivot. And so they had been forced into it in a way and then owned it and then took it on and then stepped into it with their own energy. And so, you know, I think too, we can do that for ourselves. And I think that's done through awareness. It's through the sitting and listening to yourself and noticing. If you notice yourself complaining all the time, which was a little trick I did with myself. I tried to give up complaining for Lent one year. And I realized that I was complaining, not just out loud to other people, I was complaining in my head all the time. Little complaints, those little thoughts that are always nagging. Oh, this isn't right. That isn't right. That isn't right. That isn't right. And so part of my morning routine as I started taking is so, you know, it's so
that's the teach
said,
method. So teach us, what did you do? You're about to come to it, ladies. She's about to come to it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's coming through that and you become aware. You got to become aware of your complaints or your limiting thoughts, whatever's there. And then you need to make a choice, right? Then you got to reframe. Then you got to say, okay, instead of thinking that, you can replace that thought and you can kind of set yourself up. Okay, when I have this complaint, I'm going to say, I don't like this, but it allows me to do that.
She made a point. She made a point, ladies and gentlemen. You guys hear me on my old podcast. Don't condemn. And at the end of my podcast, I always say, don't condemn, don't complain, because you have a choice. She just said choice to make a change. You have choices, ladies and gentlemen, to change your situation. It's in your head. She's telling you. When you realize that you got choices, you can make that change. So don't
every moment
you can make a choice to make a change.
Yes, every moment you have a choice.
That's right.
And even if you're in a bad, if things have gone haywire and you're in the middle of something bad, you still have choice in how you're going to react.
That's right. Your mindset.
A situation.
That's right.
And if you then take that choice, then it's baby steps. Then it's like, that's where the rubber meets the road is awareness and choice, reframing your thoughts, and then saying, okay, what am I going to do with that decision? What am I going to do with that choice?
That's right.
Today, in this moment, next step.
Right. That step. Perfect
Baby
doing.
Steps.
Let's do it. What are you going to make that step? How are you going to just make that first step? I always said, we talked about that. So
yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And so with the podcast, like I put it off for 2 years because I didn't know how to produce a podcast.
Right.
I didn't have the money to pay somebody to produce a podcast for me.
Right.
But then COVID happened. This is kind of weird. COVID happened and my photography business shut down for 3 months.
Really?
Couldn't do a thing. Yeah.
Wow.
What can you do? And so I took that 3 months and I had already decided in December before I had put it out on Facebook to my friends and family that I was going to do this podcast. I didn't know how. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make this happen, but I'm going to do this. And
she keeps saying it, ladies and gentlemen. She said it again. She did it.
Yep.
I'm telling you.
3 months of just digging in, you know?
Pivoting.
And I had that. It was a moment.
That's part of pivoting too.
Moment,
am I right? Is that part of pivoting?
Yes.
You do it. You did it.
Yeah.
Wow. You took the risk.
Yeah.
And look where we at.
Here we are.
Man, I'm excited. That's exciting, man. I love the after effect of people just taking that first step. At least you took that first step and did it.
Yeah.
And just be bold on it. Just go.
It's like throwing your hat over the wall and you don't know what's going to be on the other side of that. But when you do it, there's going to be something there to catch you. You got to trust that.
That's right.
You know, and it was something I keep telling myself every day as I do this is, because I catch myself complaining all the time. Still, that's why they call it a practice. These things don't go away.
Right.
It's not like, okay, one and done, I'm all good now.
Right.
Like I'm still deep in the middle of a process. And so I have to tell myself every day, expect success. Just expect success and just keep moving. And one of my favorite quotes is do what you can with what you have where you are.
That's
And they
right.
attribute that to Teddy Roosevelt, but it was he was quoting somebody else in his autobiography. But on the really tough days when I kind of feel like I'm overwhelmed and I don't know what to do next, do what you can with what you have where you are.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That makes sense. Just get started. So what what let me see. What is do you have another example or a tip that you can a quick tip? So now you talked about motivation. You motivate someone. You motivate yourself to get up in the mornings by stretching, to go get the alarm clock, which you that was kind of like a teaching method. Can you give us a perspective? What was your perspective after? What was your thinking like? Do you have a are you hard on yourself? Or
Oh
do
my
you
gosh, yes.
you know what I mean? Do you sit down and say, man, Nicholas, or well, Vaughn, I should have did this, or if I did this, are
Every
you
day,
hard on
man.
yourself sometimes at our age, or do
Every
you just
day.
like, you really? Okay,
I
okay,
am. I am hard on myself and I'm trying hard. I'm trying. I am taking every step I can to stop doing that, to stop being my own worst enemy, to get rid of that voice in my head that is hard on me.
was that
And
from the younger years? Were you competitive as a younger person? Were you in sports or something like that? Well, you have to compete to act, right? So
acting
do
is
you feel like that?
very competitive, yes. And
Okay,
I was on the golf team.
okay.
Hilarious, but yes, I was on the golf team in high school. Yeah, I'm competitive. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that may
Absolutely.
be it. That's what it is for me. Because when we get up in age, they say that your mind says yes, but your body says no. So some things you can't do what you used to could do. So I have to think of
Yeah.
that sometime also in the
Yeah,
mornings in the
learning
process.
technology, right? It can take a
Right.
little, things can take a little longer and like it's constantly trying to be kind to yourself, but also giving it's like being a coach for yourself. And sometimes, and a lot of the people that I've had on the podcast, this has been an ongoing thing is get a coach,
Right.
get a
Enter.
coach, get
Right.
somebody who can help push you through to the other side because the people in your life that you are currently surrounded by, they all have the best of intentions for you, but they're used to you the way you are and they
Right.
want
Right.
you safe and
Right.
they want that sense of familiarity with your relationship. So if you want to go to the next thing, one of my recommendations is get a coach or an accountability partner, somebody who is there to help you push through that stuff in a
Even a
kind
group.
way.
Would you agree? A
Yeah.
little small group.
Mm-hmm.
Accountability groups are good. Maybe different fields or something like, for example, me, you in three different fields, and we
Yeah.
push each other, but we be on top of each other. That's a good accountability, and it's competitive. And I believe in journals, writing stuff down so you can see how you have accomplished that. If
Yeah.
not, you can check off things. And it's more competitive now in my mind instead of
Mm-hmm.
being physical.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
good to have. So what we're
Yeah.
gonna do, we're gonna pretty much end this in the next few seconds. I definitely appreciate your time because we're gonna have another time for this, another episode, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna push her for this. I want to get her back on. So, any tips, anything you got going on for your business, either photography or for
Yeah, sure.
pivoting or anything? In the last words.
Yeah, I actually have a guide called Five Steps to Your Midlife Reboot.
Okay.
And that is available for free on my website. So if you go to latebloomerliving.com and just look, or on my Instagram feed too, you can link right to it from there, sign up for it, and then you get a series of like 5 to 6 emails. It's 5 steps
Wow.
and there's exercises along each step and you do them at your own pace. I'd say take a week for each thing and kind of let it all settle in for the week and then move on to the next step and see where you're at the end of 5 weeks, and
Wow.
then redo. Then
Right.
wash, rinse, repeat with the
Right.
shampoo
Right.
instructions.
Right. 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 I,
This is
I remember those days.
yeah. This is my husband likes to tell me any day with hair is a good hair day.
Right. Right.
But yeah, so it's just like keep going. Just don't stop. Keep going.
That's all right. That's all right. Matter of fact, that's what I was going to ask you. What's your favorite saying? What's your favorite word or motivational? Got any motivational speeches or things you'd like to
Do what
end
you
off with?
can with
Do what
what
you
you
can.
have, where you are. Yeah.
That's
Never
awesome.
give up. Never
That's
give up.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how can they get in contact with you?
You can find me at Yvonne Marchese Photography if you need some photos, or the podcast is latebloomerliving.com.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Yvonne. I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have a YouTube
I
channel?
do. I don't do a
Okay.
whole lot there yet, but I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. It's Late Bloomer Living on Instagram, and on LinkedIn it's Yvonne Marchese.
That's great. Ladies and
Pretty
gentlemen,
easy to
reach
find
out
me.
to her. Reach out to her. Any questions, I'm pretty sure you can DM her on the Instagram or send a message on
Please.
YouTube or make sure you sign on to a website. Reach out to her. Ask her the questions. Remember, motivate, teach, get a perspective. Reach out to her. She'll get you set. She'll guide you there. So thanks for coming on, Yvonne.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching this YouTube channel, and thanks for listening in on the podcast, wherever you watch listening on the podcast. And remember, don't condemn, don't complain, because you have a choice to make a change. Have a great day. Take care.
Thanks for joining us on the Nicholas Brown Podcast. Make sure to visit our website, www.nickbrowninc.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you like this show and you are a new real estate investor, then check out one of Nicholas's free reports called the Wholesale Dominator Report, also located on our website, www.nickbrowninc.com/free reports. Be sure to tune in for our next episode. And remember, don't condemn, don't complain, because you have a choice to make a change. Have a great day.